Hi, everybody. I am Shelly B, a conservative Black sister surviving in a hot mess world, and a hot mess it is indeed. I hope you all have been doing well. It's been a little while since I've been on here because I've been very busy in my regular life, and a lot has been going on, and I've been compiling so many videos. But tonight I came across a new person that I had never watched their videos. His name is Xavaier. And I loved the video that he put out about why leftists have, aligned with radical Islam. And the way he broke it down was fantastic. So I had to share it with you guys. I'm always on here trying to show people that look like me, other people that have the same belief systems that I do, other people that don't subscribe to the liberal narrative that look like us, and just a different way of thinking, and to let you know that there's a whole world of people out there, legions of Black folks that are out there that do not subscribe to Democrats and the liberal BS. For some reason, Black people think that you have to be Democrat if you're Black. And it's just foolishness. And there's so many people out there with platforms that have millions of followers, huge subscribership, and they do not subscribe to liberalism. They just don't. And more Black people are not subscribing to this foolishness. Now, before we get into this, I love this video so much. I just had to share this with y'all. But before we get into this, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I will really appreciate it if you do this. Help the algorithm, like the page, subscribe to it, share, leave comments, whatever you can do to help a sister out. You know what to do. I shouldn't have to ask you this, but I am. Please subscribe to the channel and do whatever you can do to help a sister out. So now, Xavaier is a young man that he was at one time a hardcore leftist, or as he says, an outspoken leftist, okay? And he says he red pilled himself by accident. I don't really know what situation led up to him being red pilled, but he eventually came out of, the leftists and the Democratic Party and everything like that. And I don't know if he's a Republican or, he doesn't adopt the party. I don't even know, but I just thought this video was so great in explaining how similar that the radical left is with radical Islam. It was fantastic how he broke it down. And I believe that he's a debater, because I did hear him mention he debated Charlie Kirk, and I'm assuming that he debated him during his leftist days or whatever. I'm not really sure. And like I said, he's the new person that I came across. And like I keep saying, I just come on here to try to share information with people that I know that they are not getting, because if they were getting it, they would not be doing the dizzy things they're doing, like voting for Mandami, Zorhan Mandami. Like, I was really sad about New York doing that. I lived in New York for 30 years and left because of, the liberal policies just got to be way too much for me. And I left and went to another state. And I've been just like extremely happy. Everything has just been better for us across the board here. And it's just like peacefulness. The main reason why I left New York was because of their wild vaccine mandates and their 4 shots on kids in school and all that. And I just moved to a state where they have religious exemption, and I didn't have to worry about that anymore. And we lived happily ever after, ever since leaving New York. And with the way New York is looking, and I can't believe that they voted for him. And, I'm digressing a little bit, but this video by Xavaier is all about why liberals aligned with radical Islamists. Because whether you believe it or not, he is one. And if you guys don't know what the key is, you better find out. And if you guys don't know what's going on in the UK, you better find out. So let's watch this video, because it's a little long, but it's just, he's funny. I love him. I think he's really funny. I thought the way that he broke it down was in layman's terms for the people that don't get it and don't understand what's going on. Because how anybody could think that somebody like Zorhan Mandami could be a success when, I just feel like people don't understand physics. Don't understand civics And because if they did, they would know that none of the policies that he wants to do are going to work, because he can't just come in there and just do whatever he wants to do like a dictator would do. He needs Albany. He needs the state. He needs the feds, and he doesn't have any of their support. So everybody got hoodwinked, and that's what you get for not understanding what you are voting for and what you are doing. So let's watch this video, because I thought that this was great of how he broke this down. And you will be really shocked to know how similar the ideologies are of the radical left and radical Islam. And that is why they ended up aligning. It's crazy.
Cousins, like many people, ever since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I have spent a lot of time reflecting on the final conversations that I had with him. And unlike some people who want to go and continuously exploit Charlie, exploit the assassination of Charlie, even trying to seemingly cover up for his murderer, and going as far as, trying to tear down the organization that he built and accuse his wife of literal murder, I would rather reflect on the things that Charlie Kirk was actually vocal about. And
now I'm just going to add my 2 cents in about Charlie. I do think there's something very nefarious going on around Charlie's death. And I'm going to leave it at that.
Now infamous Hamptons trip, where I was able to sit and have, open discourse and debate with Charlie. One of the things, dare I say, the main topic of the entire weekend was about the radical threat of Islam and how it's rising here in Western society. Now, that being said, when we had that discussion, something that was very interesting is that there was one individual in the room who pushed back on the notion that the rise in radical Islam was the biggest issue in the country today. And what he instead said, it's that it's white liberal women and their push against.
I would surely agree. And Malcolm X said, and a lot of you are not going to like this, but I say it all the time. Malcolm X said all those decades ago that white liberals are the enemies of America. And you have to, how they move is proof of that. Zohar Mandami didn't say one word about Americans. He talked about all immigrants, and he didn't say nothing about America. Democrats, they care about what's going on everywhere on earth except America, because they're globalists. So y'all have to really look at this. Why is it terrible to be an American when everybody from all over the world wants to come here, and you're here and you don't like it? I don't know. It's crazy.
American interest. It was a very interesting debate between Charlie and that individual. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that both of those situations are heavily at play. And it's never been more apparent that both of those issues are at play than with the election of Zohran Mamdani, a radical leftist and a man who supports jihadists, or at the very least is refusing to condemn them. Make it make sense.
And he ain't lying, because he would not condemn them. He will not say nothing bad about any of the things they're doing. He was aligned with all kinds of jihadists. And if you guys don't know what Takia is, you need to look at what that is, because that is in their religion. They believe that it's okay to lie to people to get, your position with them, that you can tell them whatever you need to tell them to get in position. And that is what he did. He told y'all whatever you needed to hear, no matter how ridiculous it was, to elect him and give him the power that he needs. He smiles all the time, and he just scares the hell out of me. He just seems so disingenuous to me. I just never, I mean, I knew that they would vote for him, because after COVID, I felt like they would fall for anything, but this was just over the top for me.
It's New York City. How is this the crossover that you're all supporting? How did something like Queers for Palestine actually happen? I know a lot of us joke about it, but the reality of this crossover of radical Islam and radical leftism really does not make sense to me until I started thinking more about it, and it makes perfect sense. And the one thing I have in common with Kamala Harris is I love a Venn diagram. So today we are going to be breaking down the similarities, the differences, and how this crossover happened between.
I'm telling y'all, the way he breaks this down is fantastic. Look at the diagram. A radical Muslim in the middle, radical left, radical Islam, and how they got to where they are, and how they managed to merge. It's crazy.
radical Islam and radical leftism. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Welcome to Respectfully.
And you guys, the link is always in the description of all these people that I show. I hope you will watch them and, elevate your frequency and learn a new perspective. Stop watching mainstream media, especially leftist media, and just hear what other people have to say. You can't just be stuck in your liberal bubble. You have to get out there and listen to all sides of the story to make a decision.
The class is now in session. If you have never seen a Venn diagram before, let me break this down for you. So if it is on this side, we are talking about leftism. If it's on this side, we're talking about Islam. But when it's in the middle, it is the intersectionality between the two. Now, y'all gonna learn something today. In order to talk about these, we first have to talk about what the basis of both of them are. So when we talk about Islam, Islam is an ancient, how do I say this? An ancient militant religion or a militant faith. And then leftism, wokeism, this progressive hot mess that we're seeing in our society today, all that really is new aged Marxism. The first thing that we need to start with of what these two have in common is right here. Their hatred of Judeo-Christian values. And there's a reason for it. There's a reason that they hate Judeo-Christian values so much and why that is the whole premise of this situation. So what it ultimately comes down to is that both of them hate the West. So now we need to unpack why is it that both radical Islam and radical leftists hate Judeo-Christian values. Well, what it comes down to is that both of them hate the West, and the bedrock of Western civilization is Judeo-Christian values. But the thing is, it's coming from two different places though. Although they both hate Judeo-Christian values, they are coming from, on the Islam side, everything is for Allah. So all for Allah. I might be spelling Allah wrong. I really don't care. But that being said, what's ironic about that is that over on the Islam side, they are anti-religion. They need to find God. That's what it comes down to. Now, the left, though, they're okay with it. They're okay with the fact that Islam is pushing for this radical Allah, for everything being for Allah. Why? Because social justice is their religion. And their religion, as long as they are helping people, helping the oppressed class, they feel like they are worshiping.
And that is so true about leftists. It's always a bunch of white people telling, I'm not even going to say minorities because brown people are the global majority. They're always telling people that they think are beneath them. Oh, you're so oppressed. Oh, you're so oppressed. And it's just not true. They're just, I don't understand why anybody listens and believes in any of this. It's like they always have to feel like they're saving you. They know more than you. They know what's best for you and all of this foolishness.
Worshiping their woke God. The other part of leftism is they want to destroy the nuclear family. Now, why Islam is okay with leftists wanting to destroy the nuclear family is because they know that in the Western civilization, that means destabilization. So when you destabilize Western society by destroying the nuclear family, that inherently is still going to benefit Islam.
So do y'all understand that? So if everybody is gay and not procreating, if everybody hates the nuclear family and nobody wants to, procreate, they win because they're not doing that. They are having more babies than anybody on the planet. And they are, outnumbering everybody. So that's why they're like, great, go be like that. Destroy yourselves and, let us come in and take over. We're going to outnumber you in a few decades and you'll all be gone. That's how they see it.
So they're okay with the leftists doing that. Y'all following me? You see how even when they are different, they're so complementary because it goes towards the same goal. Okay. Now, when you get even deeper into it, the left, they're anti-capitalism. They hate capitalism. They hate to see people thrive. They hate individuality. They hate all of those different things.
Leftists are haters. I say it all the time. They hate on everything. Anything that's being done that somebody is living their best life doing, they are haters. They're Karens, they're Kens, and they're the biggest haters in America. unless you are doing what they want you to do, they are haters.
Things, which pairs well with Islam because they are anti-democracy. So let's go ahead and put that on here too, Chair. Which is part of why over in Gaza, they had one election back in 2005 and they haven't had an election since. They don't want people to have a collective opinion on what it is that they're going to do. They're ultimately as authoritarian as it gets because the only person that is supposed to have any kind of power is, I guess, the head terrorist that's closest to Allah than all of them. Now, what you also have to remember here is that leftists are not liberal. They claim that they're liberal a lot of the times, which means that they want to fight for your liberties, but that's not the case at all. They are against your rights. They are in favor of taking away your identity, taking away your constitutional rights. They damn sure want to take away your religion and all of your freedoms. Now, how Islam and leftists, the most obvious combination and crossover of the two so far has been the Free Palestine movement. And that is where you get into some of the details of how these two have recently crossed over. Their hatred towards the approach of foreign policy coming from America is part of why they have united so much behind this issue. You even saw as far as a couple years ago, I will never forget, right after October 7th, I got on TikTok and there was this whole wave of people that read Letter to America, or the Letters to America, whatever the title was, Osama bin Laden's whole memoir explaining why he did 9/11. And there were dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of people on TikTok from America siding with Osama bin Laden as to why he attacked.
What did Malcolm X say? White liberals are the enemies of America. What American would justify killing 5,000 Americans? Innocent people that have nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with anything. 5,000 people killed. Make it make sense. Because we all know somebody that lost their lives in there.
America and why he, killed so many innocent people. But these people clearly New York City has forgotten about 9/11, so you can't be shocked that a bunch of people on TikTok did as well. And right after October 7th, the fact that it was in November of 2023 when there was this huge trend of these people supporting Osama bin Laden. It's not a coincidence. It is not a coincidence. Anything that they can do to feel like they are against the oppressor. Now, they have different ways of approaching this, though.
You think you're being oppressed in America? You wait till Islamists rule the world. Are y'all kidding me? Y'all rather live under Islam than just be free Americans? I just logically, it just doesn't make any sense. And if you guys could just really look at the UK and what they're going through now, they're outnumbered and they're under Islamic rule. That's what y'all want? These people, I don't even understand the mentality.
You have the leftists who think that they're fighting racial oppression. That's why they're in favor of these terrorists, because Osama bin Laden tries to explain, the reason we attacked you on 9/11 is because you attacked us and you took away our resources and yada, 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 trying to play the victim as they literally knocked down the Twin Towers. The leftists, that goes right along their woke religion, their anti-religion. But over on the Islam side, they view it as jihad. For them, it's also a religious element of why they support these terrorists.
When it comes to 9/11, I don't know what to think of that. There's so many conspiracies surrounding it, and I don't think the world will ever know what really happened there.
Comes down to that. Now, the left loves minorities, and they will defend them at any cost necessary, even if it's against their own better interests.
I can't help but interject every time somebody says minorities. Brown people are the global majority. White people are the global minority. That is a lie and a fallacy that we are minorities. We are not.
I have an example for you right now.
Can you explain what you're wearing? Yeah, this is a
mess.
This? Yeah, this is a Kia. This is
I don't even know.
Or what's the meaning behind what it is that you're wearing? Yeah, so this is a kiafa. It's like kind of worn in a lot of like kind of like more Middle Eastern cultures. And this one in particular is like has a lot of significance in like the sort of Palestinian resistance. Wearing this to like show solidarity with like Palestine and Gaza right now.
What exactly are the Palestinians resisting?
Israel has been essentially colonizing Palestine for the past 70 years or so.
Do you think that Gaza and the Palestinians share your values?
It doesn't really matter what they share my values because at the end of the day, they are being genocided.
Are you aware that in Gaza they behead or throw LGBT people off of buildings?
No, they do not. Interview's done. Thank
They
you.
do.
All right,
They do.
let's ask the question. So as you can see there, you have this non-binary person. This non-binary person wants to get up here and want to wear a kayafa, as he calls it. Doesn't even know how to say kafia, but he was at one of the protests on that campus, or he or she. I don't
That's
know.
the thing. The people on the left, a lot of the times, are very ignorant. You know, they think they are smart, but they're very ignorant, and they're being used because they don't know and understand the reality of a lot of the things going on around them, and they're easily manipulated, just like this young man was manipulated into, you know, supporting people that would never support him.
What it was, but I'll give them that. Because I don't know which one, they were wearing this kafia, not understanding any of the implications of it. And when I asked them about how do you feel about the way that they would treat you as an LGBT person, he doesn't care, because at the end of the day, he just wants to feel like he's standing against an oppressor. That is what's important to these people, because everything, whether it's, you know, calling people racist or calling people Islamophobic, what it ultimately comes down to, one of the big pillars here.
Now, I agree that, you know, I feel like they overkilled Gaza. I'm a person that definitely believes that they wanted to purge the people out, and, you know, I think they have some oil or some resource there that they want. So I believe all of that comes into play with what's going on over there. And of course, the people there hate the Jews because they feel that they, you know, colonized them and stole their land and this and that. But then you could say the same thing about the Africans that were there first and was colonized and treated terribly by the Arabs and whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, as a Black person, I just feel torn about the whole situation because, you know, Arabs enslaved Africans first before the Europeans ever enslaved anybody. So for the simple fact that they want to align with Islam is crazy to me, because they still enslaving Black people. If you want to, you know, fight for some people, what about the Africans? They still have Africans as slaves. So all of this is BS to me.
Is identity politics. So when it comes down to identity politics, again, both of them have a different approach, but it ultimately comes down to identity politics. Because you have the leftists, they, L-O-V, they love the gays. They love the gays. That's what it comes down to with the left. They love the gays because they love intersectionality. Intersectionality, and that is a whole...
interesting about this whole discussion, and he seems gay to me. I don't know if he is. He just seems like it. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but this is just my point of saying that you don't have to be a leftist if you're LGBT. It just depends on your values and how you think about things and the things you want from your government, the things that you want for your life, and the values that you have. You know, I just feel like that it's very radical, the left. They are very radical, just as the radical Islamists. And there's all kind of people in between that are not radicalized. You know, there are people in the middle, but I just don't want either. I don't want either.
Whole another point that they have here, because when it comes down to Islam, they don't really care about intersectionality and the way that the left wants them to. Because over in Islam, they only separate into two categories. They don't care about anything unless you are a believer. You get on this marker board and really forget how to spell. Versus non-believers. So are you a believer or a non-believer? AKA, are you on your knees at the call of prayer, worshiping Allah, or are you not? That's the only identity politics they care about. Do you identify as succumbing to Allah or not? Over on the left, they want to know if do you care about Black trans women? Do you care about, LGBT squirrels? Do you care about whoever people are wanting to identify as? That's where they're different, but it ultimately comes down to identity politics. Once again, two different approaches, same end result. So they have this temporary alliance, and the gag is with this temporary alliance where the left is, I was going to call them stupid. They are stupid. They're foolish. Where they're foolish is that they think that this alliance is going to be something that they can sustain. They think that they're going to be able to tame Islam.
See, that is exactly what happened in London. And what was happening all over the UK, and that is, all over Europe. And this is why Europe is going hard with deporting people out of their country. And any people that's talking about this radical stuff and talking against their governments are having to go. They're not taking any more people from the Middle Eastern countries and stuff like that. They are done. They are done because they see what happened to London. Y'all better look at London. I'm telling y'all, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I feel like it's inevitable. Everybody's going to be under Islam because they just procreate so much so fast, and they just spreading across the world fast. You know what I'm saying? Because Americans don't have that many kids. Most societies are not having as many kids as they do. In our country, the nuclear family is a bad thing. It's a lot of gay people that don't want kids, and a lot of women is feminists and they don't want kids. It's like, they have no choice but to be the dominant society in the end.
Because they're coming with the fruit basket, and they are the fruit basket. But this alliance is clearly temporary because Islam doesn't play that game. Islam, when it comes down to them, it's either convert, be enslaved, or die. So which one of the three are y'all going to pick? Okay.
And it's so funny to see in Europe how a lot of white people be wearing them hijabs and all of that now. In school they teach the kids, white kids, Islam. It's like Twilight Zone. Y'all better pay attention because it's coming soon. It's coming soon. It's the exact same thing that they did in London. They had a mayor or whoever, come there, and he watched out for his people. He was like, the heck with them. So just watch it. Go do the research and look at it and see if that's how you want to live. Because I feel like that's how everybody in America is going to be in a couple of decades, maybe even in 10 years, if everybody doesn't really get it together. It's unbelievable to me.
Now, let's get into how they are able to execute some of this power that they have going on. They have to bring in the extra manpower in order to push their causes, which is where we bring in mass migration. Mass migration. So whether it's importation or immigration, either way, you see these people bringing in a whole bunch of the people to their side. You go to Europe, what is it over there? Mm-hmm. All shades of brown. Mm-hmm. All shades of brown. And I'm not talking just about people like me. I'm talking about Islam. I was just in Italy a couple months ago, and when I got to Milan, I was shocked in tears, almost sickened. I was heaving by the fact that the second I got to Milan, I look at one of the most beautiful cathedrals there, and what do I see but that musty, dirty, raggedy Palestinian flag and a bunch of people out there protesting about Free Palestine. What does Italy have to do with Free Palestine? Please tell me, what does Italy have to do with people?
The thing is, it's terrible what's going on in Palestine, but it's also terrible what's going on in Africa. It's also terrible how the Islamists are killing Christians in Africa, but no one cares about that. Probably because they're Christians. It's crazy. I seen a video some years ago of a woman being stoned. They buried her to her neck and threw rocks at her. Y'all want Sharia law? And I think they did that to her because she was outspoken about something against Allah, like he said. So, listen. And some of them, they get into the government and stuff like that, and they make policies, where they want to have Sharia law. Like I know in Texas is a big fight because they want to, be able to exercise Sharia law, and it's enough of them and enough of them to vote to where they could have it if they probably wanted to. So that's why, Trump is talking about banning Sharia law in America. And I think they're trying to ban it. If not, I think they're trying to ban it in Texas too or whatever. So it's starting to be an issue here. But everybody's crickets about it.
In Gaza, the Italians are over here trying to make spaghetti, have their Roman Catholicism, trying to make sure the Pope is chilling. What does the Pope have to do with Islam? What does the Pope have to do with Gaza? In Gaza, they don't even like the Pope because that's a whole different religion for them, but they don't care. Ooh, let me lose my balance. Those are the people that they're trying to import. Now in America, you see all these people being imported too. When I go to these UCLA and Columbia campuses, what do I see? All these people speaking a bunch of languages that are not English. Okay, because they're mad.
Say something, and this annoyed me a little bit. I went to the DMV one time, and it was a whole bunch of Latin people there, and like they were really being really nasty to the worker because they had questions that they needed answered, and he did not speak Spanish. And they were like, "Well, why don't you speak Spanish? And why don't?" And I'm like, "Because this is America," and like I can't believe they were talking to him like that. Like really getting hostile to him because he don't speak Spanish in America. They're mad because they can't get their questions answered. But I'm like, there's one nation in Europe, I think it's called Latvia, where you can't come to their immigration policies got so hardcore because they got tired of all these people and they threw a lot of them out and they don't want any more to come. And they like, if you come here, you have to learn the language. You have to be able to speak Latvia or whatever crazy. Ain't nobody gonna learn that, so they're not gonna come there. So they really shut a lot of people down with that because they're like, if you can't speak the language, you can't come. So how long is it gonna take you to speak the language enough for them to let you come in there? So nobody's gonna come. You know, I just thought they were very nasty to that young man. He was a young guy. They were very nasty to him, and you know, I was outnumbered. You know, it was just me and them and him. You know, and they going at him hard and everything. And I just thought that was just so, it felt crazy to me, you know, that they were able to speak to him like that and really be hostile that nobody is there to speak Spanish to them. That it was wild to me.
That's important. And what does the left love? Mass immigration. Illegally. They love to bring people over on this side of the border. They love to, you know, flood our polls. They love to flood our healthcare. They love to flood.
And he ain't lying about the healthcare because I just saw a statistic recently, maybe yesterday, that they said that most of the free healthcare goes to illegal people that are here illegally or people that come here legally that are immigrants. They're the most people to get it. So they're not lying when they're saying that the whole government shutdown was to keep illegals getting free medical care, because the way it's structured is anybody that goes into the hospital that needs it will get that care, you know, and it shouldn't be that way. That should only be for American citizens, people that are here legally. It's bad enough they have a bunch of people that are here legally that are, you know, living off the system. In Europe, I forget what country it was, they were like, if you have ever been on social services or unemployment, you got to go. Gotta go. They don't, and I was like, wow, that's really brutal. Can you imagine how many people would have to leave America if they decided, if you ever accepted money from our government, we don't want you here. They only want to take the people that are going to be an asset to their nation. This is what the European countries are doing because they are scared to death. They are scared to death after what they saw is happening over in London and other parts of Europe, how they got outnumbered and they got outvoted by the people that are there, the Islamic people that are there. So y'all better look at this, what's going on in Europe. And if you are an immigrant, you better pay attention because a lot of those policies are going to start coming right here because they are working for them over there. Those policies, those immigration policies are working, and people self-deported because they do not want to get sent to Uganda. Some of them European nations is like, we're going to send y'all to Uganda. If you don't leave, you got time to go get the step, or we sending y'all to Uganda. Anybody that comes here illegally, you don't get to wait in our country. You're going to Uganda while you work out your residency And if your residency fails, what are they going to be stuck in Uganda, or are they going to send them back to their country from Uganda? It's crazy. Nobody's going to come to certain parts of Europe anymore because the immigration policies are so crazy. So while people are over here crying and complaining about ICE, y'all better look at them European countries and what they're doing, because it's 100 times worse than what they're doing here.
All these people who don't want to pay a dime in tax, they want this cheap labor that's basically slave labor, and we don't clock that enough. Part of why they're like, oh, you're just mad because you're competing with illegal immigrants and they'll work harder for less money, aka you want slaves. The left supports slaves. Some things have never changed, okay? So when it comes down
yes, they did, because Democrats were the ones that wanted to keep the slaves enslaved when slavery was over. Democrats were the ones that did Jim Crow and all of that stuff. Any diabolical thing against people of color, Democrats were always responsible. Always.
To it, they need more manpower, so they bring in the mass migration. I'm like, I swear my handwriting is so much better than this. It looks like hieroglyphics up here. But y'all getting the point. Now, how do they do this? How do they do it all? How are they able to mass migrate? How are they able to get in power? How are they able to get this influence all over? I'll give you the answer. And for some of you, y'all gonna love this one. As alluded to earlier, white women. The answer is white women. By targeting white girls, by targeting white women, they are able to get both of their jobs done. How's that? How is that, Xavaier? What do white girls have to do with this? Everything. So you have these emotional left-wing white women who are a damning force.
It is very true. Liberals are so emotional. You ever see how they're out there screaming and crying and everything? And for as terrible as they try to make people on the right seem, and people that with the conservative values are, they don't act like that. They don't act like that. I don't like to be around liberals because they are very emotional. They're mean. They're nasty. They call a lot of names, and you can't really talk to them about policy. They don't want to hear. Just like that boy was like, I'm done talking. Like, if you say anything that's logical or that goes against their narrative, they shut down and they don't want to hear. You can't debate them and none of that. They shut down. It's crazy. They just be too in their feelings about everything, and you can't even have a discussion.
Against the West. They're jeopardizing the West by voting with their emotions rather than logic. I'm never going to be one of those people out here being like, repeal the 19th, take away their ability to vote. I will say, though, society would be better if we did, but I don't want to do that because I don't get down like that. But that being said, white girls, white women, snow bunnies, respectfully, we shout out to white women, but y'all need to stop thinking with emotion, okay? The white guilt that y'all have is the reason why you're in burlap sacks all over the UK. I know good and well y'all don't want to be in a burlap sack, but I'm seeing more and more white women in these hijabs going all around Europe and all around America. And now the gag is, white women, y'all finally just started stepping up your game, because for a while y'all had the same little flip and doop and whoop and the same little blowout, but now y'all are out here with extensions and weaves and wigs. Y'all are out here moving like black girls. Okay? Y'all are getting that real good human hair. So white women, right when y'all started really stepping up your looks and stepping up the fashion and getting real campy with it, now you're having to put it in a burlap sack because your white guilt, you're allowing your white guilt to have you placed in a burlap sack. I'm not okay with it. I want to see the white girls be free.
But can y'all please stop playing with me? Over in Europe, in London, or wherever they at, it is like this. I couldn't believe it. In school, they teach little white kids Islam and white people walking around. It's like Twilight Zone. I'm telling y'all better go see it. It's crazy.
Britney. Free Britney. We need to free Britney. And we need to free all the Ashleys, the Mayleys, the Kayleys, all the white girls, all the Emmas. Shout out to all the white women named Emma, except for the one I went to high school with, Wanch. Now, that being said, they're the first, though, to call you a bigot. White women, they will call you a bigot if you have the audacity to question.
I had white people actually have the audacity to tell me, how can you as a black person be conservative? Because black people have conservative values for the most part. This is a Christian country. That's why. It's a free country. I can do whatever the frick I want to do, and I don't have to explain nothing to you. How can you, as a black person, to me, that is the most insulting thing for a white person to question me on my blackness. But they do it all the time. because they think that they are entitled for some reason to talk to you and come at you crazy. I don't know why they think that. They think that they understand what blackness is and what values I should have.
Their intersectionality. They're protecting the delusional people that are creating the chaos in our society. Now, some of you are wondering, well, how is Islam infiltrating white women? Their ovaries. Oh, their ovaries. The amount of white women that are converting to Islam, especially in places like the UK, and that's why you have the most common baby name is Muhammad. You have these white girls that
believe the most common baby name, I think, in Europe, and maybe was it Ireland or somewhere crazy that I couldn't even believe, is Muhammad. So they've took it over. There's more of them than the Europeans, and they're outnumbered. And, politically, they probably have, more juice. And then they create policies that benefit their agenda. And white people over there don't like it. But they signed up for it, and they didn't like the return. Just like he said, just like New York. New York is going to be very disappointed in Zohran Mamdani. A lot of people already have buyer's remorse after they really thought about it.
That are feral. These white girls have jungle fever, and you know what? Shout out to some of the Islamic people. Y'all are good looking, and you know what? You're pulling the white girls. The white girls are out here procreating with y'all, and I am all in favor of interracial marriage and relationships and all that. But white girls, you don't have to bring all of us with you just because Muhammad had you in a chokehold. Okay, we don't all have to be up under there. We don't all have to appreciate the same lust as you do. But that being said, I'm just staining the carpet. But that's what y'all are doing with your gene pool. You're staining the carpet. And and then more beyond that, it's the laws. The laws that y'all are putting in place to support this mass migration. White women are some of the loudest people out here screaming free Palestine. Progressive white women are the downfall of the West. And when that initially was said during the debate we had with Charlie Kirk, I was like, okay, I agree, but that's a stretch. Nah. Mobilizing the white women are a huge factor as to why we are seeing Islam.
A lot of people be mad at Charlie, but I don't feel like that is racist at all. It's the truth. It was the truth. He said that years ago, and that is exactly what has happened. Please go look at London, and please go look at Europe immigration crisis, and please look at immigration deportation and see what their deportation policies are. They do not care if you are there legally or not. They'll say, oh, well, your country is no longer at war. You can go home. Oh, your asylum, you don't need it no more. Go home. Even your country could still be warring. They don't have to keep you. They'll say, oh, well, we don't care. They'll be like, oh, our country's still at war. We don't care. You got to go. We don't want you here no more. It's like if you have somebody in your house and you just decide, you know what? I'm tired of their ass. They got to go. You got to go. What you going to do? Fight with me and try to go to court to stay with me in my house and all that? Just leave. They don't want you. They do not want them there anymore. And for as much as everybody is over here mad and arguing about ICE, y'all need to look at Europe. If you want to go defend some people, go over Europe because they are going hard. They are going hard. They are putting out everybody. They don't care if they're residents. They don't care if they're here legally, but they just said, that's enough. We're done. You got to leave because we need housing for our people, so everybody got to leave. That's what they're doing.
And leftism merge in a way that's destroying our society. Now let's keep it moving. Now, another part of this is both the left and Islam, they are very strong on this. Indoctrination will always be preferred over debate. And now you ask why.
Yep.
You ask why.
What did I just tell you? You can never debate them. They rather indoctrinate you than sit there and try to reason with you to accept it.
Indoctrination, to be very, very clear, is done when you are forcing people and, trying to brainwash people into your way of thinking. And the way they prefer that over debate is because indoctrination is for those who are submissive. Those that are willing to submit to your way of thinking. Oh, I'm afraid of being called canceled. I'm afraid of being called Islamophobic.
And that is so true, because I've heard so many people say umpteen times, oh, Shelly, you speak out and, I wish I could say something, but I'm afraid of not working. Or, oh, I can't talk about this because I'm afraid of this. And I'm afraid. I fear nobody but God. I don't care. I am not afraid of anybody. Do whatever you're going to do. This is how I think and this is how I feel. And I feel free that I want to live my life the way I want to live. I want to think how I want to think and believe what I want to believe, raise my child how I want to raise them, take whatever medical products I don't and refuse the ones I don't want. Come on. They try to fear you into accepting their ideology. Like, oh, you say you don't want men and women's sports, you're transphobic. Oh, you say you don't want to, live under Sharia law, you're a racist and you hate Islam, Muslim. No. I just don't like it. I don't have to like it. I don't hate you. I just don't want to be you. You know what I'm saying? It's insane. It's insane.
Personally, I don't give a damn. So you can't indoctrinate me, child. But there's not a lot of people out here that stand on business like that. So you have all these people and all these.
And what's the shady part of everything that make me pissed off too is now, since all of the people held the line all this time and spoke out, lost their jobs and went through all the suffering. Now you have all these people that even want to come out now and talk shit and they against this and the left is bad this and all, I'm not a leftist no more. Now it's safe to come out. Now it's safe to come out. All the hard work has been done. All the abuse other people have already taken. That makes me mad too,
World leaders, literally world leaders that are succumbing to the submissive nature of they're afraid to make the Islamic Brotherhood mad. They're afraid to make the progressives mad because they don't want to get canceled. So then what ends up happening is you go through pure damnation if you resist. There is damnation put upon those who resist, whether it's progressive ideas or Islam. You're kicked out of society. You're fired from your job. You're kicked out of Thanksgiving dinner. You're not allowed to be in your friend group anymore. There are people who try to drive you out of your neighborhood.
And we all know it's true because we saw what happened during COVID. We see what happens when you don't, subscribe to the Democrats and live leftism and liberals and wokeness and all. They treat you terribly. They treat you terribly. And in a country that's supposed to be free, and that's the reason why all these people from all over the world come here, because it's such a great country. It's only bad to the Americans that live here that haven't really suffered under Sharia law or haven't really experienced real poverty like some nations and haven't really, experienced being enslaved like the Africans do under the Islamists and the Arabs. Give me a break. Give me a break. I feel like a lot of Americans, especially leftists, are some of the weakest people I ever imagined that exist on this earth. They're weak. They just bust out crying at the drop of a dime. And conservatives will shoot you. I'm serious. Come on. It's just, I'm sorry. I can't align with them. I never could align with those people. I have a lot of friends that are liberals. I respect them for their right to think how they want to think. And I wish that they would respect me for my right to think mine. And I do have a lot of some liberal friends that have known me before it was an issue, with not wanting enforced medical products, or before it was an issue, where, you couldn't have conservative values. It was like evil to have conservative values, So I feel like I have a lot of liberal friends, but I just don't discuss stuff like that with them. When they're talking their politics, whatever, I don't say a word. And they know I don't agree and I don't say a word because I can't be bothered to argue. Now, if they ask me, I'm going to tell them the truth, but they don't ask me. But, I will tell them the truth, how I feel, because that's my right. And I don't feel afraid of anybody. And I feel like if you And that's how Trump got elected. And everybody was so shocked at the result because a lot of people would not tell you to your face that they were going to vote against Democrats. But they got in that voting booth alone and they did. So it's crazy how fear will make people do the dumbest shit. It's just like during COVID, because they made everybody afraid and they were afraid of being chastised and kicked out of their friend group and kicked out of their job. They took the shots, you know, because a group of people said they should. And if you don't take it, you're not going to be a part of us and you're not going to be able to work and be with us. And I was like, oh, well, I don't care. That's how I felt.
Neighborhood. My friend Emily Wilson, Emily Saves America, her own brother got evicted because his landlord found out who he was related to. So this is the type of stuff that you deal with when you don't submit. When you don't submit to Allah, you have to get on your knees and submit to their ideas. That's not what we're doing here, though. We're fighting that tooth and nail. I will fight that until my last breath. And the reason, again, that they hate debate is because there's no foundation to their beliefs. I'm going to do a whole separate video about why, respectfully, Islam doesn't even make sense from a historical standpoint, from a cultural standpoint, from the Quran standpoint. Because first of all, black
people will always be like, oh, well, they beat us into being Christians, but they beat you into being Muslims too. They enslaved Arabs enslaved the Africans first and taught the Europeans how to have slaves. So give me a break. Give me a break. I personally feel religion separates everybody. And just like somebody was saying, Marxism is the god of the left. Globalism is the god of the left. So it's like they're all one and the same. I studied the Satanist religion because I wanted to be a minister and I wanted to know the teaching. And that's the same thing too. They're all the same. They're all the same. You know what's different? Free thinking, discernment. That's what's missing from all of those things.
Is the Quran calls for Zionism. If you read the Quran and really get into the tea, it calls for Zionism. And also in the Quran, it's so funny to me that you meet so many different Islamic people. I don't know how to say it, but like their version of saying David is like David or something. Like, it's not David. However you say it, it starts with a D. And really what it's referring to is David, the King David. And every Abrahamic religion, if they can agree on one thing, is that David was not Islamic. Islam was not even a thing. Islam was not even a thing when King David was walking around the world. He was Jewish.
Now, the ill part of the whole thing, he could never go in an Arab nation, in an Islamic country, and say any of this. But they can come to our country and say everything terrible about us. You can't go anywhere on this earth. I just saw a thing about a guy was talking crap in China and they locked him up. You can't go to another country and talk about their government to their people and try to propagandize their people in other countries. Only in America can you do that. So y'all sound crazy to me. Always complaining about how oppressed America is. I don't feel oppressed here. I don't feel anybody could oppress me if they wanted to. Unless they literally came and killed me or locked me up in prison or whatever. You know, other than that, there's nothing anybody's going to do to stop me from living my best life. Because that is what I feel I deserve. I don't feel I deserve to be on social services, and I don't feel I deserve to work for the government. I don't feel that's just what I want for my life, and I should be allowed to live that way. I don't want to be forced on universal income and social services. Why would I want to do that? That's for people that if you want to do that, then you do that. I don't want to be forced to do that. And to me, you know, liberalism is that. Just forcing you to do all kind of foolishness. You never see socialism make people all rich. It makes people all the same and poor. Not all the same and rich and living a best life. All the same and poor and on a ration. Why would you want that? Y'all all in New York, y'all all want to live in public housing? Y'all all want to live in the projects? Give me a break.
He was a Jew, and you can't take that away that objectively David was a Jew. Even in the Quran, they're hating on the Jews, okay? So that being said, how are you going to name all these people, all your successors, after your predecessor, and then say that your predecessor's religion is irrelevant and doesn't exist? How are you going to sit here and say that that land is the Islamic land when Islam didn't even exist yet? But we're going to make a whole video about that. We're going to get into
And
that.
listen, people will get so mad and get their underwear in a bunch when you tell them that the Middle East does not exist and that all was part of Africa or Ethiopia, what they called the continent before it was colonized. That was all black people there. And that's a lot of the reason why they're going to always have turmoil in the region, because ain't nobody supposed to be there. The indigenous people that were there, they were ran off the land and stolen. And I just feel like that's why it's always going to be such turmoil. It is. That's just what it is.
We will trust. Oh, and while I'm on that, let me get into why leftism, they're afraid of debate too, because everything they have to say is based on emotion. Nothing they have to say is based on logic. That's how I ended up getting red pilled and realizing, oh, I'm sitting here marching for BLM, marching for George Floyd, marching for Breonna Taylor. I had the audacity, even one of my most progressive friends, I said to her that she was Latinx. She said, if you ever call me that again, I will punch you in your throat. And you know what? I never said it again.
And that almost makes me think of cis woman. Now that's something that the first time I really heard that and somebody called me that was over COVID. And I was like, what the hell is that? What is a cis woman? I had never heard that before in my life. And I feel like that's something that younger people started using. And I had to tell them, look, I'm freaking old. I've been around gays, trans people, every freaking body all my life. And I've never heard that term cis woman. I'm a freaking woman. Period. I'm a woman. Then I'm a black woman or a brown woman or whatever you choose to call me. You know what I mean? But I'm a woman. I'm a human woman. I'm like, what is cis? And then like they really got offended because I said I'm not cis. Well, it's in the dictionary. I said I don't give a damn word it said. That's something that you just started using. I've never been called a cis woman in my life. I'm just a woman. Period. So it's like they make up all of these things and all of these labels for everybody, dividing everybody. It's just crazy. And they divide the people against their will of how they want to be divided. That's the crazy part too.
Showed in it because I'm not getting down with that. Mr. Rodriguez is back there laughing because Mr. Rodriguez knows not a single Latina that he knows is supposed to be called Latinx. That is a woman, a girl, a Latina, a chica, a mamacita, not a mamacita. What is that? That doesn't even make sense. That doesn't even roll off the tongue. Child. Anyway, so the way that they've been able to do this is they have hijacked academia, they have hijacked the media, and they have hijacked corporate world. It is so ironic that, you know, Jews are so educated. Jews get accused all the time of being in control of the media, and Jews are said that they own everything and control everything. I can't tell, because if that's the case, Jews got to do a better job of it, because Jews are getting dragged in the media every day. The corporate world, they're fighting for their lives, and Israeli or pro-Jewish companies are getting dragged by their lace front every single day. And in academia, our college campuses are the most corrupt that they've ever been. And it's so funny, though, that I always say, the things that y'all blame on Israel, you need to be looking at Qatar, because Qatar is the country that has spent an ungodly amount of billions of dollars infiltrating academia, influencing our higher institutions, particularly institutions like Harvard, Princeton, Columbia, etc.
But Israel bought TikTok though because they was getting hit hard, you know, on the social media with the Gaza thing, and they bought it to help control the narrative because they showed that out of their own mouths and out of their own leaked emails and whatnot, that's why they wanted TikTok, and they got it. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, it'll be censored like crazy if you say anything against that narrative that they want, you know. But they said that's why they wanted TikTok, is because they wanted to control the narrative, because it was too many images coming out that's making them look bad. So
era. Why? Because those where our next world leaders are coming from. Our world leaders are coming from the Ivy League towers. So when you go and you indoctrinate these students and then they get in the corporate world, what it used to be before Qatar started putting their foot all up in our nachos is you would leave college, you'd probably be more progressive because you're all about.
And I'm telling you, a lot of these corporations are saying that they don't even want them Harvard and some of them Ivy League graduates because they think they're smart and they're not. They don't know how to be innovative. They don't have free thinking and stuff like that. They don't want them. They can't get jobs just like everybody else.
Unity and free stuff, and you're young and dumb and just got a big heart. Then you get into the corporate world and then you get humbled because you learn how the real world works. But now, because of the desire and the forcing of people to be indoctrinated and to submit to Allah, to submit to the rainbow, now that so many people have to submit to the rainbow, you get to the corporate world, and instead of the corporate world humbling you, it's now a whole class of millennials that are making the corporate world succumb to progressive ideas. And through progressive ideas, who are they uplifting? Islam. Even though Islam is as anti-progressive as it gets, it doesn't matter because it's still within the umbrella of the progressive ideology that we have here. And the media follows suit. What it has done, it has created a generation of cults. You have an easily susceptible generation of young people who felt that they lacked opportunity, who felt they weren't being heard by the government, who did not like our foreign policy, and who ultimately didn't understand the world from a lens that is not Western. So these people were easily indoctrinated, and that has led to where we are today. And what is happening today? The biggest discussion that's been happening so far this year? Political violence. I really shouldn't even have to elaborate on how the left and Islam align on political violence, whether it's terrorism through constant bombing, through suicide bombing, through driving up on people on the sidewalk, to just like, you can see videos in LA. This just happened recently where Jewish people wearing a Jewish star and minding their business in Santa Monica, and somebody comes up and runs up and punches them. That's radical Islam. Radical progressives, you name the major shooting, you can name the leftists attached to it. If we're keeping it all the way 1,000. We've talked extensively about this epidemic happening where you have so many transgender people that are shooting and killing people. But even beyond the trannies, beyond the tranny divas, you have all these leftists, this long list of leftists who want to call you an Nazi, so they have the ability and the right to kill you. They have gone out of their way to demonize our public figures, our politicians, our commentators, our celebrities, and our regular people who just want to go to church or go to school. They demonize every system because they're angry. And instead of just, being vocal and, trying to have change and trying to become a part of the system so that they can beat the system, they go and they choose political violence. Who just murdered Charlie Kirk? A radical leftist. I will admit that I think that there's, some foul play there. I think that there's more to that story than we're being told, which is why the FBI is looking into it. And who I have said since the beginning needs to be investigated? Islam. Because no matter how many times certain people have been trying to pin it on Israel, it has backfired every time and has been proven to be illogical. And while every stone is being unturned, people are investigating Erica Kirk, they're investigating Turning Point USA, who I hope starts suing people, they're investigating all these different avenues. Why has nobody investigated radical Islam? The same people.
They're saying in Charlie Kirk's camp, there's just so much conspiracy around it, but they're just saying that in his camp, they feel that they turned on him because of Israel or some funding or something that they were getting or something like that. Is it true? I don't really know. And this is his theory about the Islamists. That's the first time I heard that, and I don't really know much about it. But they do, just like Candace Owens was saying, she feel like, Israel or whatever was behind his murder. I don't know. Allegedly, that's what she's saying. So who knows? But I just know it's some foul play. It's something wild going on with the Charlie Kirk thing, because I just don't believe that the shooter was the person that actually shot him. I don't. I feel like he was a radical leftist or whatever, and he had a lot of issues, but I just feel like he's being scapegoated. I think it was like a more organized hit on him. That's what I think. That's just my opinion, allegedly. of what I think.
That Charlie Kirk became extremely vocal about in the latter months of his life. It's not being talked about enough. The main thing that y'all want to talk about, and it's true, is how both of them, they burn American flags. They take a knee. They're very mean. They like to fight.
Let me tell you something. For as much as Islamists come in this country and burn our flag and curse our people and curse our nation and our government, if you went over their country with that foolishness, you would have no head. You would have no head. So I don't understand why people think that that should be allowed here. Like, it's just getting out of hand. It's just really getting out of hand. And eventually you're going to lose control of it. And then they're going to be, you know, against you, just like he's saying. Just like they did in London. Just like in Texas, they told the white guy, he don't belong here. You don't belong in this town. Well, what you mean I don't belong in this town? I was here before you got here, and this is my country. But they don't want him in the town because it's an Islamist town, and they don't want him. So, listen, is this going to be New York soon? I don't know. Is it going to be the most of America? I think so. I just think so. Eventually, I just feel like it's inevitable. It just is. It's just too many of them. You know, it's too many of them, and they're here, and their nuclear family is intact. You know, they don't subscribe to gay and all that stuff. You know, they want you to have as many kids as possible. So I just feel that they're gonna be the dominant society in the end. I just think so.
I'm not talking enough about the bullets that they're shooting, and that's the gag. And when it's all said and done, the end goal of both of these two, something that they have in common, globalism.
That's right.
When it's all said and done, these are two ideologies that want to take over the world. Leftists,
and a lot of you don't understand that leftists and Democrats are globalists. Republicans, conservatives are nationalists. And why anybody would hate a nationalist is beyond me, because nationalist just means that they love their nation. You see people come from Palestine, wave their flag, they're Palestinian nationalists. You see a Mexican waving a flag over here, they're a Mexican nationalist. American wave their flag, they're American nationalists. But it's bad to wave the American flag, but they can wave any other flag in this country. That is globalism. If they care about everybody on this planet and not Americans, that is globalism. Why anybody would hate nationalists and patriots, people that love this country and would really willing to die for it, is beyond me. I never could understand that mentality. I don't see how you get that hoodwinked where you think nationalists, an American nationalist, is a bad thing.
They want to take over the world and have this utopia where it's full of, fairies and unicorns and everybody shares and we break bread. And why do we even need money? Why do we even need cash? I can make sourdough and bring it to your house and then you can come and fix my electricity. Girl, shut up. Y'all thought you ate. You think that you ate every time. We can just watch it happen in New York. I am excited to see what's going to happen in New York. And I'm sorry, but if you don't want to live in New York anymore, move. You got to move. If you didn't vote for Zohran Mamdani, move. But if you did, stay right there.
I moved almost 3 years ago because I saw where it was going after COVID, and I got up out of there. And it was the best decision I ever made in my life. And if I could get further away, I would. Because this is not going to end well. It's just not. It's not. I don't see it.
Stay right there and cross your legs, because I cannot wait to see what it looks like when everything is free and public transportation is free, and then y'all have drug addicts and needles and crackheads and chronics all over the community. Your healthcare, trash. You might as well just put a Band-Aid on your cancer cells. That's how bad the healthcare is going to get over there, okay? Globalism is this idea that the left has of this fake utopia where everybody's going to be nice. Y'all don't even like each other enough. And the second you get enough people out of the way, you're going to start imploding on yourselves. And that's part of why the leftist idea is never going to work. Socialism has never, ever, ever, ever worked. Every time a society has fallen, one of the biggest things that have happened, two of the biggest things that have happened are, one, they start pushing gender theory, and two, they take away the guns. Every single time it has failed throughout history. But that's what the leftists want to try it. It's like you saw it failed and you want to do it again? You want to do it again? A definition of insanity. Islam, do I even need to elaborate on the type of globalism they want? It is in the Quran that everything that is not Allah needs to go. They have spread all over the world so quickly.
Yeah.
Why? Through murder, through persecution, ironically, through colonialism, through all the imperialism, you name it. They have done it all.
Trust me, they were the big colonizers before Europeans. They were. They colonized the Africans and enslaved them first. So I'm not slap happy about them. I'm not. And even saying that will have you in a bad way with them. Because like he said, the only identity politics they have is believers and non-believers. So all of these different levels of separate, different groups and all this and that leftists have, Islam only has two. And most of us are not going to fall into those categories. Most of us are going to fall into the non-believer category. And even if you are a believer, if you're not living the righteous way that they believe, if you're gay and different types of things, they don't want you with them, even if you wanted to be. So it's a lot to think about and a lot to unpack.
To take over. And until Islam is the only option, actually, until Islam is no longer an option, it's the only way, they're not going to be satisfied. They want to see you convert, be enslaved, or die until you are ready to worship Allah.
That's the teaching.
That is their end goal. That is their end goal. But the gag is, ultimately, they're both pushing two separate forms of globalism, except one side doesn't realize that they will inherently collapse alongside the West and what they're doing by doing this whole the enemy of my enemy is my friend thing, trying to support and be these good people and help out radical Islam. All you're doing is you're expediting and you are the catalyst of your own downfall in a way that we have never seen in the history of humanity. And that's all I have to say about that. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for joining class today here on Respectfully.
That was great. I like Xavaier. Oh, I forgot all about the comments tonight, Joe. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The Angry Martian says, I think most people with the brain have seen through their narratives for political power games. In China, once Islam became a problem, the communists cracked down on it with internment camps, and you never hear a word from the left. Yeah. And that's exactly what they're doing in Europe, is cracking down on them, getting rid of them, sending them back. They don't care, about asylum and all that stuff. They're all being sent back. And I'm sorry, y'all. I forgot about the comments, and I'm so sorry. I'm tired tonight, and I didn't even, look at the comments. I'm really so sorry, y'all. But thank you for being with me. I really appreciate it. For the last couple of days, I've been up really early in the morning, so I'm kind of really tired. But I had to come on here because I miss coming on here when I don't come on here with you guys. And I saw Xavier's video, and I just had to, share this. And I would really want to unpack it because he did such a good job unpacking that, and I wanted to watch it in its entirety. So it's a lot to think about. And I can't stress you guys enough. Look at what is going on in Europe. Look at it. And if you are immigrants, whether you're legal or not, you better start to worry, because if any of those policies start coming over here, you're in trouble, because a lot of those places, if you ever had committed a crime, no matter how small and petty, you got to go. If you ever receive social services on their nation, you got to go. They don't even care anymore about asylum or anything like that. They need housing for their people. So all the people that are not from there have to go to make room for their people that need housing. So it's getting deep. It's getting deep. And a lot of the, the political, the immigration advocates and activists and all that stuff, you can't force somebody to keep somebody in their house. You can't. You can't. So this is just going to heat up and get hot and get more hot. And I just wanted everybody to start thinking about this. And, y'all better really pay attention to your boy Mandami. And y'all better look up Takia. Y'all better learn about Takia and figure and question if he's doing that. Because a lot of people seem to think so. And other Muslim people seem to think so. So I don't kill the messenger. I'm just saying what I hear out there. So I'm going to go. I love y'all. This means I love you in sign language, and I do, especially if you sat through this with me. This was another long one, and they always are because there's always so much to unpack. But I love y'all very much for being with me. I appreciate you so, so much. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend, share the video, leave a comment, do something, anything to help the algorithm. I would really appreciate it. It takes nothing to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that. Anything you could do so I can reach more people. All right, so I'm going to go, you guys. I'm tired, and thanks for being with me tonight. I am Shelly B. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great evening. Bye.